My name is Jennifer, and I have very little memories of Warsaw because I was born in the West Midlands, and we went to Jamaica when I was probably about 5 years old. I can remember my mum was plaiting my hair, she was combing my hair, and I was lying in her lap, and somebody was throwing stones up at the window saying, hurry up, you're going to be late. But it was a group of Caribbean women catching the boat. I think they were going to Southampton at that time to go back to Jamaica. So it was me, my mom, and my siblings, and some other women. And I remember one of the ladies was called Miss Hattie, and I thought it was a funny name. I didn't remember much about England because I didn't start school. The reason my mum went there was because her relationship had broken down, and she was having difficulties to care for 4 children. So she decided to go back to Jamaica, to Portland, and do some farming and sell the produce in the market. But it didn't really work for her, so she decided to come back. And when she made that decision, she had to leave us there because she couldn't work, she couldn't look after us, and she couldn't afford the job that she had, was working in a factory, and she couldn't afford childcare. So yeah, we were left in Jamaica, and I didn't remember anything about my parents. I didn't remember anything about the experiences of living in England, basically. There's 4 of us that were born in England, but my parents, they met when they came to England. They're from the same parish, Portland, but they didn't know anything of each other. And my dad, I think my dad had 3 children, and my mom, I think 2 boys and a girl, and my mom had 2 girls. So each went off in their own journey to find life in England because the mother country is paved with gold or whatever. It's not necessarily, but they knew it was a better life. So yeah, it was difficult because my mom always said about the two girls that were left there, it was difficult for them knowing that she came and started another family. And so we were in that position where we were then left behind. So my mom had 2 groups of children that were the same process repeated for different reasons. So there was 3 sisters, me and my 2 other sisters, and then my brother was the last one with the same parents. So we all went back with my mom, and life in Jamaica was a bit interesting to begin with. So we went to Portland and lived with my grandmother, and I remember a little bit about Jamaica, Portland at that time. One of my first experiences was going up this hill and it's interesting, the vegetation and the smell of the earth was because of how I don't know, when it rains, even in England, you can smell the earth. But there it was a different kind of, the experience lingered with me. I don't know how to describe it. So that was one thing about Portland in the early days. But also it was the experience of being in the church as well. So my first experience in the church, I think it was like a Pentecostal church. Because in our family, we have different religions. We accept whichever you feel is best for you. So we had Church of England. I went, because I lived with my aunt, I ended up going to a Seventh-day Adventist church, and now I'm Muslim, and my sister's a Rastafarian. So we have all different types of, that doesn't mean it was it was difficult sometimes to accept somebody else's religion, but we eventually get, even if there's sometimes it's like Christianity and like you would have Pentecostal and Church of God. It sounds like nothing much, but it can be. People sometimes get offended, but it was eventually accepted. So we went to this Pentecostal church. I remember it was like on a Sunday evening was an evening service, and so the service started, and it was getting quite rowdy, and hymns and people praise the Lord and everything else. And so this woman, she was getting really worked up, and she fell down beside me, and she was flapping around, and I was thinking, the woman's dying, and nobody cares, nobody's looking, nobody. And my mum was like, oh, don't worry. And I've never seen it before, so I literally thought she was dying. But she got into the spirit. I understood then that she was in the spirit, and it was long after they said, oh, this is what happens when somebody's in the spirit. That because it can be traumatizing when you see that's happening. So. Yeah, I mean, and then when I went to my aunt's church, it was different, the Seventh-day Adventist church. So my mom stayed in Portland for a year, trying to sell produce, but it didn't really work for her. So she would grow some stuff in the land, and it didn't work. So she thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to England. I couldn't take my children back because I'll be stuck in the same situation. Can't afford childcare and everything else. So she left us with my aunt in St. Mary. So yeah, we grew up in St. Mary, and it was an interesting place, an interesting time. And yeah, but it was difficult. It was difficult for us because we were a set of children, were the only children from England, except for some years later, another family came, and there were two boys, and they went to the same school with us. So we stood out in the whole school as, oh, these are the children from England. But it was I would say for us it was kind of a bit of a stigma, because sometimes the kids would laugh at us and say, oh, your parents didn't want you because you're 30, I don't know, is it 3,000 miles away from where you were born? And yeah, it can be soul destroying sometimes, because you don't want to believe it, but because we're loved by our aunt, but deep down, you know, it's not like a normal situation. So yeah, I mean, and so the only connection with England was when we were sent stuff from England. Like, so my mom used to send us stuff. We used to have like dresses and dolls. So this was back in the 70s. So so they used to send over stuff in barrels. It was mostly my aunt, my mom, because my dad didn't really send us anything much, but he did send us some dolls once, and a truck, I think, for my brother. I remember leaving England. But I wasn't necessarily. I think I was too young to understand what was happening. To me, we were just. It was in the middle of the night when we were leaving England, and I was told that, oh, we just needed to get dressed and we need to just do our hair, and then we were going on a ship. At that time we went on a ship, and I remember a little bit about the journey on the ship. The journey was traumatic for me, because I remember the seasickness, but traumatic in the sense that I remember being, they had cabins, and I don't even remember if we had windows in our cabins, but I just felt like really closed in. And I didn't like being closed in. And sometimes we used to go up on the deck, and then it was like a massive contrast. And I didn't like that either. So it was anything that I've never experienced that before, and it was just completely different from normal life. And then I remember sitting in the communal area, and we sat there with this lady called Miss Hattie, and she had those little those bags that you see them, the ladies in their photographs when they have, and it's like a little purse, and you clip the. So she had one of those bags, and she opened her bag, and she gave us some boiled sweets, and we were having these boiled sweets wrapped in plastic, those little plastics. And not long after she gave us the sweet got stuck in my throat. So it was really bad. And I remember they were hitting my back, and I was gasping for it, just like I couldn't breathe. So to this day, I don't like boiled sweets. I don't give my children boiled sweets because I just think, no, I'm not having that, because it nearly killed me having the boiled sweet. So yeah, it was like traumatic in that sense. I don't even remember getting to Jamaica at all. I don't even remember that. We weren't really told anything. We were just, I don't know, maybe my older two sisters. So one is 2 years older than me, and the next one, the oldest, is 4 years older than me. But they started school in England, so they could remember things more than I could. And they would remember being at school, and all the other kids would gather around listening to them speak. Oh, talk, because they speak like the only people that spoke English. I mean, we're taught in English, but the only people with patois is everyday how we communicate. But the only people that would speak English was like the teachers, if they're telling you something and you'd write in English. So, but they were speaking English in their everyday, but soon they had to learn to quickly catch on to speak patois. So, and after that, it wasn't a thing anymore, because we were just like one of the local speaking the dialects. But the only time we stood out again is like when we had things sent from England, when the barrel came from England, and we would have back in those days we would have like maxi dresses in the 70s, and we'd have like if you had shirts, they'd have the flared collars and all that. Platform shoes. I had a massive platform shoes. I couldn't walk in it. And my cousin, she had my shoes, and the dress, couldn't fit me because it was too big for me, and I was quite skinny back in the. I shouldn't say skinny. I was quite slim in those days, and so my cousin had to have my dress, and I was so upset because this is like prized and precious that came from England. And so my cousin had to wear it. And I remember those, yeah. We knew the barrels were coming when there is communication between my aunt and her sister. And my aunt would say, oh, don't worry, I spoke to through the letters. She said she's preparing a barrel. A barrel will be coming. But these barrels, you have to... my mom didn't have a very high-paid job. She was working in the factory. She was like making furniture, like the bottom of the chair legs, like they turn it with a machine. So, but it didn't pay much. And so it would take her a long time to collect the items to put in the barrel. So when my aunt would say, oh, when is the barrel coming? And she said, oh, it's coming soon. And sometimes it would take her longer than she thought to get the barrel ready to send it. Yeah, and sometimes the things that she'd have to take items out because especially if you put food in it, it would expire. But the clothes, she would buy them extra, a little bit bigger, so that we don't, because kids grow, so they don't grow out of these clothes. Yeah. But sometimes we get interesting things like books and toys, and not just clothes. Being separated from my parents wasn't... I used to say to myself, I don't remember them. So it didn't make me feel too bad because I was with my siblings. But I don't think so. I think it's something that I used just to protect me, really, because I didn't want to think about it in any depth. But when you go to church and you see other families, other people with their families, or you would, because the whole family unit was there. So the grandparents, the aunts, the cousins, the parents, you could see them as a community, you could see the unit. But we didn't have that unit. We kind of like displaced in terms of everybody knew that the lady that's taking care of me or us was my aunt, and my aunt's husband. It wasn't. We used to call him daddy, but we weren't. We used to say auntie and daddy was a bit odd.